I am Peter Czachowski, creator of the Deck of Worlds and the Story Engine deck. This is my dog, Oben, very needy, so he's going to be part of this demo. Today, I'm going to show you how to create a complex microsetting using Deck of Worlds. Now, a complex microsetting is basically the same as creating a simple microsetting, except we draw a few additional cards, and you're going to find that the area that you're creating, the microsetting, is just a little bit more packed with lore and storytelling details. It's going to build on and kind of be a neighbor to a microsetting that I built in the last video in this series. We created the Camp of Ghosts. The Camp of Ghosts is a camp of retired adventurers located at the top of a set of very dangerous cliffs. And it's where adventurers who have already done their service to the realm, who have lived the adventurous life and just now want to retire and live a quiet life, it's where they tend to go. It's because they can share common experiences, they can relate to each other, they can understand the paths that each other took to get there, and I think they also have a certain amount of respect for the fact that sometimes they don't want to talk about the traumas they've been through or some of the adventures they've been on. Sometimes they just want to be able to relax and cook and live life in peace. The camp has also become something of a destination for greenhorns and fledgling adventurers who want to learn from the best of the best. They know that this camp is where the really successful adventurers who found ways to survive and live long enough to retire, they know that that's where they ended up, and they really would like to learn the secrets to adventuring. So the Camp of Ghosts has become known as kind of a training camp. It's just a really sought-after place. The location is kept a secret, and it's at the top of a very difficult-to-reach cliff, and still adventurers will come and risk life and limb to learn particular combat styles from these adventurers who aren't particularly forthcoming with their secrets. They've left that life behind. There's now a new camp of fledgling adventurers who formed at the base of the cliffs. The adventurers at this base camp are probably right now starting to teach each other the things that they've learned, to talk about their dreams of glory and adventure, and every now and then one of them will build up the courage to scale the cliffs and try and make it to the top of the camp. The cliffs are covered in mountain goats and really aggressive and protective and territorial rams who can perch on the sides of the cliffs and will try and headbutt off anybody who comes there. And that's the existing micro setting that we have. So next to it, adjacent on my map, I'm going to create a complex micro setting. A micro setting that instead of involving 6 cards, involves up to 9 cards. And we're going to do this by random draw, and we're going to look for opportunities to link the cues of the 2 settings as we create the secondary setting. Here we go. First, I'm going to draw 1 region card. I drew Islands, which is interesting because if these are sea cliffs, that totally changes the landscape in my mind. Next, we are going to draw 2 landmarks, and we're going to pick one or both of them. Town or volcano. Ooh, that's going to be a tough choice. I want to see what the second card is before I commit. Town or meadow. So I can have a town either way, but let's go with a volcano on the island and a town on the island. And that is a little bit of a recipe for destruction. Next, I'm going to draw 2 namesake cards. The first namesake card has Shattered, of Flags, of Strays, That Sleeps. Oh, I like all of those a lot. The Island of Flags, especially because if the camp is bringing people from all sorts of different areas, it could be something where there's a lot of different nationalities coming together in this area. I also like the volcano that sleeps. That's just great because it builds the sense of tension that the volcano might wake up one day. I'm gonna go with the volcano that sleeps. And for my second namesake card, we have Rogue, of Rifts, of Children, and Where Mushrooms Grow. The Rogue Island, or maybe Rogue Islands, I might make it a series of islands. If we're doing the tabletop RPG route, I kind of like the idea that the Rogue Islands are specific to rogues, to people who have trained in the arts of deception and stealth and backstabbing and sneaking and trickery and all that. Oh, actually, it could be really interesting if like some enterprising trickster who is aware that the Camp of Ghosts is luring people who want to learn combat and adventuring secrets. If an enterprising trickster took advantage of that to create basically like a business where they try and lure people who want to learn the sneaky arts away and say like, oh, well, you know, Camp of Ghosts is closed or it's too hard to go there. But if you come to the Rogue Island, this is a place where you can learn all kinds of sneaky tactics to help you on your adventure. I think I'm going to work with that idea for now. And if I decide I want to try something different, I can always change that later. Next up, we are going to draw 1 origin card. Created to protect an important relic, subject of a civil war, originally in a different location. I really like that idea. What's up, buddy? My dog does not like that someone is taking advantage of people at the Rogues Island. Site of a terrible massacre. I really like the idea that the Rogue Island was originally in a different location. Let's imagine that whatever this rogue training camp was originally located somewhere else. When the Camp of Ghosts started forming, that's when the Rogue Academy or the Trickster Academy, whatever you want to call it, decided like, what if we relocate to that island next to the Camp of Ghosts so that we can have our own little franchise there, our own little location there to catch some of the people who are coming to learn things and maybe disappointed by the Camp of Ghosts. I'm also very interested in the possibility that because there weren't a lot of places that they could build, they ended up having to build on a volcano island because it was like the only area that hadn't been claimed or that wasn't already part of someone else's domain. So next we are going to draw 2 attribute cards and use one or both of them. Gambling hub, which makes a lot of sense for Rogue Island. Everyone hates the weather. Habitat of a giant animal, visited for good luck, especially if the trickster is trying to create a sense of mystery and give almost like a false backstory to the island, claiming that it's good luck to visit there, or creating like almost a fake rumor or a fake bit of folklore about the island might be one of the ways they try and build up their brand, so to speak. But a gambling hub just makes so much sense for a rogue island, right? Like most trade there is not even done on the barter system, it's done on the bet system, like you gamble things to make transactions or exchanges. And as I think about the relationship between these two settings, between the rogue island and the Camp of Ghosts, I might adjust the decision that I made about the queue for the Camp of Ghosts for the Advent card. The queue for the Advent card that I chose is that a new commune is setting up without permission. And originally I said that was the camp of new adventurers who want to learn from the camp of retired adventurers at the top of the cliff. But I like the idea that it could be both a camp of unassociated new adventurers who are just kind of on the same path or same mission, but also that Rogue Island has set up like a recruiting booth there and is trying to pull people in. Like it's actively set up a little bit of their own commune or their own hub there, their own outpost to try and recruit people. But let me choose my second attribute card, elaborate etiquette system, which could be interesting in honor among thieves type code. Habitat of a rare insect, site of an auditory phenomenon, especially with a dormant volcano, there could be some really interesting sounds that come out of the earth. Skilled foragers. I'm gonna go with an elaborate etiquette system. So there's this honor amongst thieves thing, there's this gambling-based economy. Just think that there's a lot of storytelling potential there. This is the point in creating a complex microsetting where there are now 8 cards on the table. 8 cards can be a little bit hard to handle. I just wanted to acknowledge that big, sprawling microsettings with a lot of cards showing can sometimes just be a little bit more tricky to work with because of the number of cards involved and the way that they connect. If you're finding you're having a really hard time handling all those cards, you can stack prompts without tucking them. You can just put them in a pile and then fan them out and read them when you need to remind yourself what kind of prompts you chose. I like to make sure that I can see all of them. I like to just rearrange as necessary. But if your preference is to make things a little bit simpler or the cards easier to handle, you can just put them in stacks together. Or if you're using sleeves, you can actually put multiple cards in the same sleeve so that they're contained. Last card that we're going to pick is the Advent card. A prominent figure is being exposed as a fraud. Oh my goodness, I love that for a rogue island or like a rogue academy. I love the idea that this person who's even telling you that they're a fraud, they're telling you that they're going to teach you how to deceive people, is exposed as having deceived people. Like, what is the lie so big that a fraudster would be seen as not a legitimate fraudster? Like, that philosophical question to me is fascinating. The other cue for this is that a sudden drought could have disastrous consequences, which would also be interesting for an island because there'd be limited fresh water. But I'm definitely going to go with a prominent figure is being exposed as a fraud. I love the idea that whoever this head trickster is, whoever is going to teach you how to deceive other people, didn't actually deceive all the people that they claimed to deceive. They actually lived a more honest life than they purported to, and now they're being caught out for the deception of honesty. There's just something about the irony in that I find utterly fascinating. And now we have 2 micro settings next to each other that are starting to create a bit of a map. We can already see how the cues are connecting to each other and making the entire tapestry here richer. Really, these are areas that I would love to explore. I would love to write a short story about the interplay between these 2 camps. I would love to run a D&D session here where they're explored, where someone challenges the head fraudster to a duel to see if they actually have all the sneaky combat and experience that they claim to have. I just think that there's so many ways that you could pull out some great stories from these settings. If you would like to try out Deck of Worlds for free, you can go to deckofworlds.com/demo, download a printable PDF, it also includes the guidebook, and just give it a try. You can also find more expansions and resources by visiting deckofworlds.com. If you have any questions or you want to talk shop, you can find @StoryEngineDeck on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Look around me for the clickable video squares that I'll eventually add to this. For more videos in the series and more demos to see how we build on this setting using additional expansions and world building considerations. Lastly, if you are finding this content helpful for your world building, please do the like, comment, subscribe thing. Everybody says that in every video, but it really does help boost the channel and find people who might find these tools and resources useful, and I would love that. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.